Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
A community in mourning. Friends and family coming together in Grosse Pointe to remember the life of a student killed by what police say was a drunk driver while away at college in Texas. Police say 19-year-old Honor Wallace was hit by a driver that ran a red light near the campus of Southern Methodist University in Dallas. It tops our news at 11. I'm Devin Skillion.
I'm Kimberly Gill. Tonight's vigil took place at University Liggett School, the high school where Honor graduated last year. Damon Fernandez was at tonight's vigil. He's live with the latest on what is just a heartbreaking story. Damon.
Yeah, Kimberly, you know, it's so emotional tonight as so many folks from this community gathered here on this campus. You can see right now the flags across this campus are at half-staff as this community remembers the life of Honor Wallace.
Community matters, and your presence here is a real blessing.
It was a somber night as a community of concerned friends and neighbors gathered around University Liggett School in Grosse Pointe Woods, gathering to remember one of its graduates, Honor Elizabeth Wallace.
You know, this week I lost an angel here on earth, but gained another one in heaven.
Honor's father, emotional. The 19-year-old, who friends describe as intelligent, kind, and dedicated to her studies, was killed by a suspected drunk driver in Dallas on Sunday.
She was the most beautiful person that I've ever known, and she was always there to make you smile.
According to police, Honor was in her car with the passenger, traveling along a service road when 27-year-old Lindley Paulus ran a red light and crashed into Honor's car. Honor died from her injuries. Her passenger sustained serious injuries, including a broken clavicle.
I want all of us to focus on the time we got with her instead of thinking about what can never be right now.
Honor was just starting her sophomore year at Dallas's Southern Methodist University. She was pursuing degrees in Spanish and English.
She was such a light, and her smile was so unique.
As friends and folks across this community mourn such a tragic loss, it's the connections the teen made and the stories about her they'll remember Honor's friends and family say matter most.
It was definitely a life that was far too short, but I can tell you that it was very, very well lived.
And that was Honor's father, David. One message that he told the crowd gathering tonight is that he's glad tonight there was a full moon. He says full moons are something that his daughter loved ever since she was a little girl. I'm Damon Fernandez for Local 4.
Demonda, as far as the woman who's accused in all of this, do we know what charges she's facing?
Yeah, Kimberly, she's facing charges right now for intoxication manslaughter and intoxication assault. This remains an ongoing investigation.
Yeah, just
Back
awful,
to you.
Awful. All right, Damon, thank you.
More UAW workers could be walking off their jobs. We are less than 11 hours away now from another key deadline set by the UAW president, Shawn Fain. As we wrap up day 14 of the strike, no word on any new offers or counter offers from General Motors, Ford, or Stellantis.
UAW President Shawn Fain has scheduled another social media update tomorrow at 10 a.m., likely to name new strike targets if there's not significant progress in the talks. Last week, the UAW only went after GM and Stellantis, saying there had been progress with Ford, but that hasn't led to a deal. Meanwhile, Union President Shawn Fain is blaming the big three Detroit automakers for reported violence on the picket lines.
But the automakers are firing back. Stellantis calling his claims misleading and inflammatory. Jacqueline Francis on that story for us tonight. Jacqueline.
Devin and Kimberly, we're here at the picket line in Warren where things are going smoothly. But this comes after a few violent days, like on Tuesday when a car hit 5 striking members in Flint. UAW President Shawn Fain is addressing violence on the picket lines.
In Massachusetts, a member and a state senator were hit by cars on the picket line at a Stellantis parts depot. And in California, our members have had guns pulled on them by non-union contractors crossing the line at a Stellantis parts depot. Closer to home, 5 people were hurt when a car reportedly drove through a crowd of picketers Tuesday while leaving GM's processing center in Flint. GM identified the driver as a third-party housekeeping contractor and said all 3 employees in the car have been banned from all company properties.
I think that was an isolated thing, just somebody that made a bad decision. So, yeah, we're definitely trying to be safe out here.
But that's not stopping Fain from pointing the finger, calling out GM and Stellantis.
Shame on GM and Stellantis for hiring scab contractors and standing idly by as they injure and threaten the lives of their own employees.
Stellantis fired back, calling Fain's comments misleading, inflammatory, and dangerous, saying, "We've witnessed an escalation of dangerous and even violent behavior by UAW picketers at several of those facilities, including slashing truck tires, jumping on vehicles, following people home, and hurling racial slurs at dedicated Stellantis employees who are merely crossing the picket line to do their jobs." Stellantis has not hired any outside replacement workers, who Sean Fain calls scabs. As for the negotiations, we're told talks are active, but as you guys were saying just a minute ago, we're really looking ahead to tomorrow when Sean Fain will likely be announcing another round of walk-offs. Reporting live in Warren, Jacqueline Francis, Local 4.
All right, Jacqueline, in fact, we're getting set for that. A reminder, join us tomorrow morning on Local 4 Plus. We are going to be streaming UAW President Sean Fain's announcement live, just as we did a week ago, which kind of led us to where we are today. Christy McDonald will be anchoring our coverage. The announcement set to begin at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.
And union workers at Detroit's 3 casinos will vote tomorrow to potentially authorize a strike. Workers who are members of multiple unions, including the UAW, have been in negotiations with the casinos since the beginning of the month. If a strike is indeed authorized, workers could hit the picket line in the middle of next month when contracts are set to expire.
Attorneys for fired Michigan State football coach Mel Tucker want the university to preserve all documents related to the investigation. A notification letter has been sent to Michigan State's general counsel in anticipation of litigation over what attorneys are calling the illegal termination of Tucker's contract. Michigan State fired Tucker yesterday, of course, over what they described as, or what he described as consensual phone sex with a woman who was also an activist and rape survivor. The school said it terminated what's left of Tucker's $95 million 10-year contract for acknowledging actions that subjected the institution to ridicule, breaching his contract thereby, and for what was described as moral turpitude. Tomorrow is a key day in the case surrounding the Oxford high school shooter.
Ethan Crumbley will find out if he can be sentenced to life in prison without parole. The teenager pleaded guilty to several charges, including 4 counts of first-degree murder. But in a special hearing, a special hearing is required when prosecutors seek a life sentence for a minor. We followed that hearing back in August. Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald says this case is very important.
You can't state that belief and ignore the actual events of this case and try to pretend that we can just group this crime and this individual in the group of all the other juvenile lifers. You cannot.
Judge Kwame Rowe will announce his decision tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. He will then formally sentence the shooter December 8th. A weekend construction alert for drivers on I-75 in Metro Detroit.
Starting at 8 p.m. tomorrow, northbound I-75 will be shut down from the Davison up to 8 Mile. Southbound 75 will be closed from I-696 down to 8 Mile. MDOT says crews will be working on bridge work, so northbound I-75 traffic will detour to the westbound Davison. Southbound traffic will detour to westbound Square Lake Road. MDOT says the freeway should reopen by 5 a.m. in time for the morning commute on Monday.
All right, let's get over to Kim Adams. We've had the cloudy, kind of cool weather, but that's about to change here soon.
It's all about to change, and it's all in the timing. It changes just in time for the weekend. For the first night in several nights, we don't have anything to talk about on Exact Track 40 radar. We had a few sprinkles here and there, but those have all come to an end. And by tomorrow morning, we just have mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures have not budged much at all in the last 6 or 7 hours. In fact, Pontiac, you've been at 59 degrees for over 6 hours now. It's 60 in Mount Clemens, upper 50s in Port Huron, 63 City Airport, low 60s at Metro. When you send the kids to the bus stop tomorrow morning, it will be dry, still kind of cloudy, temperatures in the upper 50s, but by the afternoon we should at least see some sunshine as our highs finally get back into the 70s. And we're not done there. We'll hit 72 tomorrow, and then as we head through the weekend and into next week, those temps continue to climb until we are in the 80s next week. We'll talk about our next chance for rain coming up in just a couple minutes.